All right. Game one, buddy. Game one. It's on. So second round, Leafs make the second round for the first time since the JR Jinx came down and thwarted the Leafs in 2004 with my beloved Flyers. Thank you, JR, for starting that. Before we start, there's my little Shorzy hat right there. The Sudbury Bulldogs playing in the No Show. Season two's coming right out, and they're taping that up right now in Sudbury, Ontario. But I digress. We're going to go back to Leafs Panthers. And a few things need to be said first before we start off with the vitriol is that number one, you got to give credit where credit is due. Paul fucking Maurice. I don't know what kind of balls this guy has. I mean, this guy, I'm surprised he can walk with balls that big that he says out loud to the press, we're going to strangle the Boston Bruins. And I'm like, bah! Do you have any idea of the shit that's coming out of your mouth right now, Paul Maurice? You barely got into the playoffs, like barely. If it wasn't for Alex Lyon, you don't get into the playoffs, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is the Boston Bruins just set a record of 65 wins out of 82, like insane. Like the number one team in NHL history. So what? Call it 110 years with the most amount of points, the most amount of wins, yada yada yada. And yet you're going to come out, not just do it, but you're going to say it before you do it. And then he fucking nails it. And then he fucking nails it. Like, wow. So you know what, Paul Maurice? You get one of those, buddy. If you got the balls to come out and call that shit, to get laughed at, to get kicked in the teeth, to have people like just call you a bunch of names, saying that you're lucky to have a job, like Florida. Are you kidding me? And you go out and you did it, buddy. So I mean, kudos to you. I tip my hat off to you, sir. Second thing. So now that we're gonna get past that, we're gonna go on to round two. The Leafs. Like, what I don't understand is like, how do you get home ice advantage both rounds and start like on a Tuesday and a Thursday? Like that's like a slap in the face. Like you should get games 1 and 2 at home on like a Friday, Sunday, or a Thursday, Saturday, or something like that, right? A Tuesday, Thursday, and not that the Leafs are going to have a hard time filling the barn because they're not, obviously. But I mean, you'd think that they would have a Saturday night game, Thursday, Sunday, Friday, any one of those days where people are off, and then like you have a weekend game, but like the second seed gets the weekend games, and that's just kind of weird. So that's the second thing. Third thing is I don't know what to expect because it was a karma thing that I thought the Boston Bruins would come out and just destroy the Leafs before the season was even, I mean, before the series was even started, because Boston has that stranglehold. Like Boston has that knee, in the neck stranglehold guy. The guy's tapping out in MMA or whatever it is. That would be like Boston and Toronto, but Boston shits the bed, which like I don't like Boston because I'm a Flyers fan. So obviously, I'm not I'm not I'm not a fan of Boston, but I was a fan of Boston until the Leafs got out because I wanted to see Boston just to knock the Leafs out. So that being said, but now you got Florida, but like who knows now because who shows up? Does Chucky in the Panthers show up as in the last 3 games? Florida Panthers and put a beating on the Leafs and make it really quick and painless. Or do they go back to being the Florida Panthers that really struggled to get into the playoffs and, overcame injuries and that sort of thing? And then, like, the Leafs now have a cakewalk to the conference final, which I think should be against Carolina. And Carolina is also without, Svechnikov, so he's out for the year, one of their biggest guns. But they still look good. So, like, on that side as well, it's going to be like a real toss-up. So which Panther team do you think comes out and crushes it right now? And the fourth thing is like, what's going on with the Florida Panthers not selling out their barn to out of state or out of country ticket holders that are naturally just Leafs fans are going to be flying down to Florida. A, because it's Florida. B, it's Miami. C, it's because they've never seen a second round in 20 years. So, like, want to get a little vacay, go down to Florida, get a couple cheaps. It's probably cheaper to fly down to Florida, get a couple of tickets, dogs, parking, a hotel, than it is to get the tickets for tonight or Thursday night in Toronto for 2 seats. Guaranteed, cheaper, guaranteed. I don't know what flights cost, but I'm thinking you could probably get some fairly easy cost down to Miami and get good seats and be less than what you would pay for regular seats in Toronto. And that's reason number 5 why I can't stand the Toronto Maple Leafs, because they just price gouge. And all they do is just like take advantage of every stupid Leaf fan who thinks they're just going to come in here, put their money down, watch a team lose, celebrate mediocrity, and then come away with it as if they were actually like hurt that they lost. And they're not, because they're used to it, because they're Leaf fans. Anyways, that's my rant. That's my rave. Feel free to let me know in the comments below down here, right there, what you're thinking of the series. Any thoughts I just said, and go Panthers, go.